somebody's wife is somebody's girlfriend right now, and they don't know it. You know, and that man is going to lose that girl, and then later he's going to recognize what he had by the insight of reflection. And he's only going to know this by thinking upon everything that happened in that relationship and figuring out how much she was building him up to become a better man and how much he didn't realize it at the moment. And then when she's gone, that woman is going to find somebody else who is at that point of already reflecting and already maturing into the circumstances of seeing the value in a good woman.
Jabril.
Exactly. And so your girlfriend right now, somebody's girlfriend is going to be somebody else's wife.
I thought you were going to say my wife.
No, I mean, I don't know if my wife might be somewhere studying, meditating right now by herself, ain't worrying about no guys, you know, just waiting for the right one. I don't know. She just might be building herself up. She might not be wasting her time in a relationship until she find the right man. And I think she knows that when she find the right man, she going to recognize him instantly because he's going to have
Can we give her a name?
No, I'm not going to. That's limited in my chances. I give her a name. I'm not going to do that. I'm not. We can name our child or something. I think our child is going to be beautiful. Let's just think about that, lady. And yeah. But anyway, let's just get away from that for a second. But the point was that somebody's is not recognizing what they have right now, and somebody else is going to recognize that, because somebody that doesn't know if you've never seen what a diamond look like, you will not know when you have a diamond. You're going to be like, these are some beautiful little clear rocks, you know, and you're going to treat them like rocks. But somebody else is going to be like, those is diamonds he just threw.
One man's trash.
Damn,
another man's treasure.
This is hella, he tripping. He go scoop up all of that, shine them up, turn
the little necklace, get the little ring, get the put it gold.
So, you know, one man's, you know, rock is another man's diamond. And so it depends upon what you do with what you have, and recognizing the value in what you have, you know, is going to determine the outcome of your future. And some people like to say that, you know, they believe everything is destined. What happens should have happened, or if it didn't work out, then it wasn't meant to be. You know, look, man, I don't believe that. I believe a person's destiny is based upon a person's character and thoughts. If you have great thoughts, you're going to have a great destiny. If you develop yourself to the best version of yourself, you're going to have the best version of your destiny. It depends on what you do right now in the present. So if you
best is subjective, though. Best is subjective.
Yeah, best can be subjective, but we can all say that you can look at the version of who you are right now and say it's not 100%. You know, and by best I mean the 100% version based on your potential. And potential output can be.
You said we can all look at ourselves and say it's not 100%, because I disagree. Because I think there's some people where it is 100%, and I think that
like who?
One of my best friends who passed away. I think when he passed away,
he was
I think because I think everybody. I think especially death brings that out in terms of timing.
When somebody's die, it's hard to say because it's like
they lived their life.
Right. I mean,
so
that's
but you can die, but you can die any minute.
But I look at Tupac. So let's deal with that for just a second. I look at Tupac, right, and I say if Tupac would have lived another 3, 4, 5 years, he would have grew into an even greater understanding. He would have had more time to manifest a better output within the world, you know. And the one thing I know about Elijah Muhammad, when he was getting his information, he had studied for 3 years with Master Muhammad to teach him and give him a certain knowledge so that he can raise up black people in America. And he built up an $80 million empire while he was alive. But within that time, at first he wrote Message to the Black Man. It wasn't later on he wrote another book, Theology of Time. But within that span of time is when he first got that information, he grew into an understanding, right? But if he would have died at the time when he released those first books, he wouldn't have never had time to expand upon the information that he had and grow into a greater understanding and give a greater information and wisdom.
But you're looking in retrospect.
But yeah, because, I mean, he had more time to progress. But I know that with every man that dies at a young age, there's always a greater potential of where he could be later on in life. No man at 25 is at their potential of 50. You know, now
just on time alone.
there's a certain thought process. Yeah, just on time alone. Now having a certain thought process that's getting you towards that goal of reaching your greatest potential. Yeah, that's your 100% version of yourself because you are going on the right path. But adding more and more and more, like expounding upon who you could be. That's why we see some people that died young and be like, wow, why the greats die young? Because we know if they was given more time, what they would have done with it. And so, time is a measurement of motion. So basically, we saying that if they were alive, they would have done more things. It's just like if Cardi B died a stripper, nobody would have known that she could have been a #1 Billboard artist.
True.
And so I think about that, and that's my philosophy on potential and being the best, because I look at her as a stripper. She had to go through that to gain that insight in order to get to that path, right? So nobody can say what she did at that time. You got to almost honor both of them, because you got to say that this person, based on who they is, was able to take that information, that pressure, and become a diamond later, right? But if you look at her there, the way the world perceives it, the world perceived that to be her 20%, 30%, 10% self. But with the way the world perceive her now, they consider that her 100% self.
I just know that, I agree with all that. I just think that, positive energy and good vibes is how you look at things. And I think that when somebody passes away, and everybody's different, but when somebody passes away, there also may be a perspective that maybe that was a lesson for somebody else to learn and grow from, and they serve their purpose.
I believe that too.
Like
yeah.
it's complex.
For others.
Exactly. We're all vessels, and just go ahead. What you thinking? Nothing's random. Go ahead.
I was watching this video about physics, and this guy was it was a TED talk. The guy was explaining on how everything is connected. So nothing's.
I haven't seen this one. Okay.
Sure. Yeah. And he was explaining. I think they was like, I don't know if they was algae or whatever, but they were. He was saying that there was a time before humans, or a time before oxygen was created on the planet Earth.
You talking about atoms?
No, they weren't atoms. They were like a green plant algae. And what happened is every time that they breathe, they were adding into the chemicals to create oxygen. And that process took over 1 million years. But he was saying that each one of those single algae, I'm going to just call them that for lack of understanding at the moment. But he was saying that every one of them, every time that they breathe, whether they live for 7 days or not, they didn't know that their purpose was connected to a bigger reason later on in life, and which was creating oxygen for life later on. But I wonder if they knew that every time that they took a breath, they was creating the opportunity for a new world to exist millions of years later. What they looked at their life as having more significance and more purpose and fulfillment.
That's crazy to think about, because now you're talking about the thought process of algae, and I don't even know.
Right, but that thinks about you as a human and the things that you do.
If you make it a metaphor and stretching it,
it's like the metaphor of how you look at your life, and
the impact.
You don't know the impact that you may have 1 million years from now. Like, I believe that my life will be impactful. I know that I'm going to try to create as much energy within the world.
But you don't know.
To where I know it for sure.
Right. But you don't know the extent.
I don't know the extent. Right. I can imagine. I think just by imagining something, sometimes you manifest a thought. Like Tupac said he wanted to reach one person. I think that one person exists, that literal one person, that he wanted to really get the message of what he was talking about. Some people may be inspired by it, but one person really encompasses it and really does a real change. And so I think that if you speak manifestation like that within the world, you actually create it. It may not happen to another 100 years, 200, 1,000. Time is in a circular motion, so time is just the measurement of motion. So when
time is life, time is money.
Everything sits still, there's no time. There's nothing to measure. But as soon as you start moving, then that's when you can measure. That's why when a person is busy, time go by fast because of all of the motion that they put in, And so when you look at that, motion is energy. So when a person's speaking, they get their thought process floating and they put energy out like that, that energy transfers into the universe, and you just don't know when that motion of that energy will manifest itself within time. And so when I think about that, I know that for a fact, the footsteps that I have today will have some great impact within the world. And I don't know the full extent of it. But if I go in my mind and I imagine and I speak intentful details on what I want to create within this world, which is the curation of righteousness, which is When I was younger, I was told about the hereafter. My parents always say that there's going to be a day where we have the hereafter, to where these evils in the world don't exist, to where there is a generation in the world that exists, to where they're not born in the type of world that we're born in. They're born in a world to where righteousness rules, and it's not ruled by corruption. It's not ruled by deception and technology. And that is basically heaven. And so heaven is something that we're going to have in the existence on earth as in our environment, not just in our mental heavens. And so I look at that, and I was also told that if one person was to prophesy something, then somebody else